Oh boy, we may be ruffling some feathers with this one, but today what I wanted to do was dive into an article and an idea published on yardbaker.com. This was from earlier yesterday, and it goes over the New York Rangers. Now, before we dive into everything that's talked about in this piece, we have to acknowledge the Rangers themselves as a hockey team. Because wow, have they been interesting to watch. And I say interesting, not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. They're fourth in the Metro right now. But the thing is, I'd say some of the players on the Rangers have been playing out of their mind, bananas bonkers good. Looking at you, Igor Shesterkin. Looking at you, Jonathan Quick. But when you think about some of the other guys on the team, there is sort of an expectation, I would say, that isn't being fulfilled. Like, for one, Mika Zibanejad, that guy has been a turnover machine. Especially yesterday against Winnipeg. He hasn't looked like his best self. He needs to be better. And you can say there are a bunch of other Rangers that are in that conversation too. Hey, they can be better. They can produce. There are some guys that are doing very well, like Lafreniere, for example. He's had a pretty good start to his season. Of course, the goaltending has always been a strength here in New York, but ultimately, there are dynamics with the New York Rangers that kind of get challenged a little bit when you look at how this team is losing to teams like Buffalo or how they lost to Winnipeg the other night. They're not perfect, but they're getting there. Okay, maybe not getting there per se. Will Cooley is one of the top guys on the team. Come on, Chris Strider, please get an assist. But ultimately, the Rangers are on some sort of path to recovery, but this path may or may not involve one of the hottest names the NHL saw last year. Today we're going over to an article on yardbaker.com, posted earlier by Daniel Lusant, who talks about some troubling stats that suggest that Matt Rempe's time with the Rangers may be over. Matt Rempe is a fan favorite in New York and one of the up-and-coming enforcers of the game, but the latest report reveals his time with the team may be over. Rempe spent his offseason working on his game, training in strength, skating, and overall performance. He did a lot of intense work with former NHL enforcer George Laraque to work on his physical play and made some moves to improve his skating, a couple of key areas he hoped would help him make a stronger impact this season. He worked hard, but he still could not get a regular spot in the Rangers lineup, losing the spot to such players as Jimmy Vesey and Adam Edstrom. Despite several recalls by the Rangers, he has never managed to nail his position. As Peter Boat of the New York Post notes, Rempe gained folk hero status last spring at the Garden with a series of fights and 71 penalty minutes in 17 games, but the 6'9 winger has appeared in only 3 of 10 games this season for the Blue Shirts, including a healthy scratch in Friday's win over Ottawa. Okay, that's not necessarily like the craziest thing out there to hear about. Oh, a guy who was primarily noted last year for being an enforcer and a rookie is not really getting any playing time this year. Oh, wow, crazy. Especially for a team that's supposed to be as good as the Rangers are, right? And here's the thing. Matt Rempe ended up getting sent down to the Hartford Wolfpack, and in his first 5 AHL games, he has scored 0 points. He has 5 shots on goal. He's a -6, outscored 6-0, has a 40.2% expected goals, wowzers that is bad, and a 37% rate on the dot. This guy has not been good. And even the top comment, or the reply says, suffice to say that's not going to be good enough to get him back to New York where the roster is as hard to crack as it is. And just kind of surveying the tail of the tape here, Johnny Gregory McKegory goes out there and says he'll get his first point in his 10th game and get called up immediately. Yikes, he better wise up or the ECHL is next. He is barely an AHL player, brings 0 to an NHL club except size. He needs to be more than that. Rempe needs to focus on penalty killing and defense, smart stick, back check, forecheck, use his body. He is not an NHLer, love the size, love his attitude, but he is not a good hockey player. This is sort of what I think has happened here with the narrative surrounding this guy, because last year there was such a big explosion of love for this player because, wow, look at that, there's a new young guy on the block. He's so big, and he's so new, and he was so out of nowhere. He was a 6th-round pick, and now he's in the NHL fighting everybody. This guy's like a terror. Okay, we're not going to use that word. This guy's a superhero out here, just challenging everybody, and the fights are entertaining. He's always either beating the brakes off of a guy or he's getting his eyes blacked out and smacked in there. We did make a few videos throughout the course of last season talking about how it was kind of, dangerous for a guy who made his bread and butter in the National Hockey League by strictly just dropping the gloves all the time. Like, of course, we recognize that it's a part of the game, but at some point you gotta recognize, okay, like, do you do anything else, Matt Rempe? I didn't realize we were living in the 70s or the 80s where at least one player on your team was devoted strictly to fighting and literally nothing else. Nowadays, the NHL is too good to have anybody who is not capable of playing defense or is not capable of keeping up to an NHL pace. So for Matt Rempe to have gone through the season that he had, where he was really just brought on to fight, sure, he scored some goals and they were always highlight reel moments because, hey, it's Matt Rempe that's scoring it. 6'9", right? He's so big. There was a novelty to Rempe, and I don't want to discredit that at all. He sold jerseys, he got people to put their butts in the seats, he got people's eyes on the product. But at the same time, I was kind of thinking about it like, hey, are we really gonna send this kid out there to fight every game that he gets? Like, is that really healthy for him? And then they just kept on doing it, and then they decided to roll within the playoffs. He played 11 games, he had 1 goal, wasn't really great. But that was it, right? Next season, okay, Rempe's going to come in here, he's going to fight his way to earn a spot, but he ended up not doing that, and he eventually got sent down, and now in the AHL, he's not even producing points there either. Like, Rempe was never, ever a high point producer at any part throughout his hockey playing career. He had a 31-point season in 47 games with the Thunderbirds, but then he declined afterwards to 23 points in 56 games 2 years later. Like, how do you do that? It's so bizarre, the path that Matt Rempe has taken, because now it's like, where do you go with this player? Is there really an NHL future for him? Can he bring more value to the table than just policing opponents and knocking the heads off of guys? Or is Matt Rempe's time in the National Hockey League already come to an end? Are we already in the afterstory of Matt Rempe's NHL impact? If you're a Rangers fan, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Of course, if an injury happens, or if you need a guy, somebody gets injured really badly and you need some extra bodies to fill in, okay, Matt Rempe is there, he exists. But for all intents and purposes, thinking about what he is and what he ended up becoming, not as a hockey player, but as an idea, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as to whether or not this really is the end of Rempe in the National Hockey League. Let's go out there and read the end of the article here. The stats that we saw that would suggest so far that he's had some difficulty establishing a consistent positive impact on the ice. Yeah, you're telling me a 40.2% expected goal percentage? That's so bad. Rempe said he'd like his game to resemble Adam Lowry's with a physical element, strong work ethic, and great two-way play. He has shown tremendous determination in training so far. The difficult part is transferring that into a consistent on-ice product. As it is presently constituted, it could come down to being more than just a big body if he still wants to get back to the NHL. There's still time for Rempe to right the ship this season, and with his strong work ethic, a mid-season improvement could put him back in the Rangers' radar. After all, who doesn't love a player that brings a good tilt when it counts? So if you're a Rangers fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Matt Rempe and his entire development? Is he cooked or is he going to cook? Is he on the way up or is he on the way out? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.